Right, it's here. And I don't mean a new microphone because my other one was rubbish and kept stopping, so nobody could hear what I was actually saying. I mean the season. It's here. Wicked, great news. Everyone's really, really excited. But do we know the etiquette? Do we know the rights and wrongs of the relevant jobs, roles and responsibilities for your dog within the shooting field or on a shoot day? Peg dogs, picking up dogs, and dogs in the beating line. 3 big jobs, roles that do have rights and wrongs, that do have etiquette that go with them. And if you don't know the etiquette, these are the things that are going to stop you getting back or invited back to a shoot. Peg dogs, they can do anything that they like, because if you're on a peg, you've paid and had the privilege of being invited to, as a guest, shoot a gun on a driven shoot. So you are theoretically exempt from all bad behaviour. Your dog can do anything that it likes because you are in a privileged position. So what you'll see and what you'll find is the gun that's handling or brought a peg dog with them, through no fault of their own, is more focused and concentrated on shooting. That's their thing. They prefer shooting than working or handling a dog. So 9 times out of 10, the dog will be sat on a peg, screwed into the ground, next to the gun as the gun's bang, 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 bang. Is that gun's priority and that gun's right to use his or her dog to pick up the birds around his peg. All right? Nothing to do with picking up, nothing to do with beating. So don't get involved in that unless you are a paying guest or an invited, privileged guest, and you're allowed to bring a dog with you. You will work your dog around your peg, picking up all the birds that are still, that aren't moving. No one will interfere with that. Nobody will say anything because you're in a privileged position. Peg dogs, picking up all of the still game that is around that gun's peg. Second one, beating, or in the beating line. Vitally important that you have a dog that can walk to heel both on the lead and off the lead, because when you're fighting your way through the thickest rhododendron bush that you've ever seen in your life, you don't want your dog to be on the lead, because you'll be forever tripping over it, the dog will get caught up, and it is a complete nightmare. So you need your dog to walk to heel off the lead as well as on the lead. But more importantly, it needs to be quiet, no barking, no whining, no overexciting noises, no yelping, no yapping. The dogs on a shooting day or in a shooting field environment cannot make any noise whatsoever. And that comes down to etiquette, where we don't want to distract a paying gun away from what he's concentrating on. Back to the beating line, where you want it to be incredibly steady, because the last thing that the beat keeper needs when you're doing one of his or her drives is your crazy spaniel or your crazy Labrador or your crazy whatever dog it is seeing the flushing point, running straight into the flushing point, and before you know it, there's 200 game birds in the air. All right, as we all know, a good effective beating line pushes forward then stops, and it drip feeds the game over the guns' heads, so they've got time to reload, they've got time to refocus, and they've got time to actually pick a new target. We cannot be sending 200 birds at a time over a line of guns' heads. So your dog needs to be incredibly steady, both on the lead and off the lead. So that's in the beating line as well. Picking up, theoretically, no one will see you. You are the sweepers and the moppers that are behind the scenes. So you have nothing to do with the guns and their birds, because if it's not moving, it's not going anywhere. And it's your job to sweep through after the line of guns have moved on to the next drive to pick up any stragglers that their peg dogs might have missed. Your role is to stand 100 yards back and watch all the birds that are continuing to fly. Some may be pricked, some may be slightly hit, which isn't an ideal case for in any situation, but your dog is to get, or your pack of dogs is to get the birds that have gone way back. So you are mopping up behind the scenes, picking up everything that's potentially hit the ground and continue to run, and then speedily, hence why we need a pack, speedily the dogs will bring that bird back to you to be effectively, kindly and quickly dispatched in the best way. So if it's a small shoot, you would speak to a gun as a picker up and you would say, sir, madam, ma'am, whatever, are you picking your own birds up? No, I don't have a dog, you crack on, no problem. But at the end of the day, you've still got to stand there and wait until that peg is vacant, until the gun has gone on to the next drive. And when I say gun, I mean a person that is shooting. So there's 3 key jobs there, which if you mess it up, you won't get invited back to that shoot. If you mess it up, you will put an extremely big bee in the bonnet of the beekeeper's drive that you are working on at that time. So lots and lots of do's and don'ts. And as you can imagine, with a lifestyle or a sport evolved around the countryside, there's a lot of aristocracy, there's a lot of upper class. Therefore, breeds, and quite rightly, has to have a lot of etiquette to go with it. All right, so 3 jobs. Peg dog picks up everything that's around the peg. Beating dog in the beating line, on the lead, off the lead, quiet, steady, has to be responsive, has to be on that stop whistle, because if it does think about bolting and going into that flushing point, we do not want birds going up. And beating dogs has to be good on a scent. So we're blood tracking, we're following birds that have potentially ran off once they've hit the floor, and you need to trust your dog's own ability, because it's going to be out of your vision, out of your sight, working in a pack. So you need to trust its ability, because you're not going to be able to handle it in any way. Etiquette, hope it helps, and I hope it gets you invited back.